Mama Jess here. Everything you wish your mother told you. I don't remember when I was introduced to the politically correct world, but I know it had to do with the word retarded. All of a sudden, we weren't allowed to say it. And I didn't quite understand because it didn't harbor any negativity for me. I just thought, well, re means again, and tard or tardy means to be late. So it's like you're just late again, or you're slow, and again and again and again and again for infinity. And I had been around people who were mentally retarded. They were slow, and I didn't see anything negative about saying it. It was just fact. It just was true. And though you have the mean bully people say retard, you're tard, or whatever. And they took a very reasonable word and they turned it into something mean. But it doesn't mean the word was inherently mean. It's just how someone used it. So that was the beginning of censorship for me. And ever since, now I'm still scared to say the word. But it's an extraordinary word. I think it should be used, especially for the social retardation in our country. Because the online world is so socially retarded, it's incomprehensible. And so, what's my point? There is, in political correctness, of course, this fear of offending people. And yet my introduction to the real hard knocks of life was finding a girlfriend that drowned surfing, and that offended me. It offended my senses. It offended my everything. I did not want to think that this is how life was. It was offending me to think this. I was offended when I found my young husband dead. He died of some kind of heart attack. He just dropped dead after 6 months of marriage. And that was offensive. It was offensive to my senses. It was offensive to my belief in the world. It was offensive to my worldview. It was offensive to my innocence. And I grieve to say that if we're so focused on fearing to offend people, no one is ever going to grow up because life and the reality of life and the tragedy of life and the forthcoming death that we will all face is offensive to our magical thinking, the magical thinking child mind that we are born with. And rather than encourage the child out of that magical thinking mind, all we are doing now, and we have for the last 50 years, is strengthen the fantasy, virtual mind, and you never want to offend it. And it's really important that you get offended out of the unrealities, out of the deception, out of insanity. Because sometimes in our youth, we're just absolutely insane. It's okay when a 4-year-old acts insane, but now when you're 48, and you're acting the same way as a 4-year-old, now you're certifiably considered insane by society. And so I know that it's important as a maternal voice to offend you. Not intentionally and not with any kind of harsh narcissistic spirit, but because I want you to grow. And I am continually, to this day, still going through the process of being offended by certain things. It's hard to come into reality, which is just growing up. So I wanted to share a book I read. It's called The Origins of Totalitarianism by Hannah Arendt. It was written many years ago. It's about Nazism, Stalin, and imperialism. Of course, totalitarianism. And there's so much to the book, and I really can't recap it for you. But there were two things that I remember very clearly, and they were right in the beginning. She said that incompetence, having no technical know-how, and addiction, namely drunkenness, dominated, I believe it was the Russians, before they were overtaken by totalitarianism. And when I read that, I went, that is exactly what has been going on and is going on now. That there is a strategic political agenda to create incompetent, addicted people. I remember when I had to wake up in my 30s and realize, despite all of my athletic pursuits, all of my scholarship and academia, I was completely incompetent when it came to daily life. And I was not the big kind of drunk and drug addict type addict, but I was addicted to every commercial that I had ever seen growing up, and I was pursuing that life. It was my high. Like, I have to have this American dream based on the advertisements I've seen, and I refuse to have anybody tell me it's not like that. I needed a little house on the prairie, fantastical daydream, because I could not handle reality on its terms. So there are socially acceptable addictions too, and I think that those are more rampant than most of the more dark addictions. So I just wanted to present to you today, and I feel like it's my obligation for you to hear someone say that it's highly likely that you are an incompetent slave. And it's really important that you begin to get angry about that. I trust a lot of your anxiety and depression is not only because of the phone addiction and having your brain be wired according to this virtual online circus, but it's also because you have no skills. You are incompetent. So it's very easy to become frightened when you don't know how to do anything. You don't know how to really take care of yourself. And you're looking to all the experts to help you. And that's why I sought out every skill set I could find, and I sought to become wildly sober and confront every offensive thing about reality. No matter how offensive it was, my desire to be free was stronger than the repulsion of the offense of reality. So I want to encourage you to first take a really good look at the fact that you're probably incompetent and you're an addict somewhere. And so you're ripe for totalitarianism. You're ripe to be taken over, because that is the exact human ingredient. Those two ingredients make it easy for these powers to come in and dominate you. Because you're scared, you're infantile, and you're looking to be saved. So it's offensive to be told that you're dumb and addicted. So acknowledge that might be true about you. And now it's really important that you start getting angry about it. The anger will drive you and motivate you enough to get you out of bed, and you won't have to focus on all this procrastination type, which is the latest commercial I've been seeing, from some kind of broken mentality, of a broken nervous system. You have to get angry at the fact that you have been enslaved, and you have to be angry that part of that slavery is a part of our human nature that can be lazy, that doesn't want to do the responsible thing, doesn't want to do the hard thing. And we love the magical thinking of childhood. We want to live in Disneyland the rest of our lives. We don't want to see the underbelly of Disneyland. I remember when I was a little girl, I saw an exposed hose bib where you screw in the hose. And it was dirty and it was crusty and it was in Disneyland. And I was offended. Like, that should not be here. This is Disneyland. I don't want to see that ugly side of, the dark industrial kind of backyard garbage can area. Like, I don't want to see it. Disneyland is not allowed to have that. And sadly, that's how we look at all of life, if we're really honest. We don't want it to be full of the horror and the terror of history. We don't want it to be about injustice and that we get sick and people die at all ages. That divorce and all the disappointments and disillusionment of life, we don't want it to be like that. But we have got to take ourselves by the scruff of the neck and say, you are going to have to deal with reality right now and henceforth. So I want to encourage you to get angry and to start fighting against unreality at every turn. Because reality is where you can get competent and you will get sober and you will no longer be an addict to anything. I got out, and that's why I'm here, because I want to help you get out. And I don't want you to be a slave. And I don't want this country to be overtaken by totalitarianism. So the last days of my life, I will be doing everything in my power to fight against it. And I'm hoping to rescue as many sons and daughters as I can. So don't despise the one who might offend you. It might just be the one who is saving your life. All right, I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.